Today on Greg LeMoment Fans Television, we go back to the Grand Prix of Zurich. Lee West is showing us his collection, what happened exactly 30 years ago, and the results of the first challenge.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Greg LeMoment Fans TV. My name is Thierry, and since you're watching, I hope you didn't miss the first episode in January. A few improvements were made, a few changes, and we also have the GLF Newsflash. I've been looking for news about Greg, but there really was none, so we have to wait for possible updates during the following months. But while visiting the LeMoment Composites website, I found this presentation of the company, and it contained a beautiful video about Greg's career. Now, for all LeMoment fans, it's worth watching this video, so just follow the link here on screen and enjoy the video. As we know, Greg will be in Europe on July 14 to join a ride on the French-Swiss border in the Alps. Now, I said we could go together and have fun, but for now it's not sure that Nicolas Albert or I will be there. Anyway, I will create an event on the forum so you guys can check who's going and who's not, and you can meet up over there, and who knows, we might be there in the future. One thing, don't forget to subscribe to join the ride in the Alps. Just do it on the official website, and then you can finalize your participation. Hope seeing you there. Last time we returned to 1982 when Greg LeMoment won the Tour de l'Avenir. Today I'll take you back to 1990, a year with a victory of course in the Tour de France and almost Greg's first win in a World Cup Classic, the Grand Prix of Zurich.
In 1990, Greg is racing for the French Z-Vetements team and just won the Tour de France. In September, the Worlds in Japan are his next goal of the season. On August 19, he races in the Grand Prix of Zurich, a World Cup Classic of 240 kilometers. With 50 kilometers to go, a group of 11 riders are riding in front of the race, amongst them Chiappucci, Lecaretta, Indurain, Dahlens, Motet and LeMoment. Gianni Bugno, leader of the World Cup, is not amongst them, and Rudy Dahlens, second in the classification, is a threat for the Italian, and so the peloton is chasing the leaders, where Greg LeMoment is doing a lot of work. "16 kilometers later, the peloton is about to catch the leaders, but that's not what LeMoment has in mind. He attacks on the Regensberg with Motet and Chiappucci in his wheel. Lecaretta is joining them on top of the climb. Greg is really feeling good and seems to be the best rider in the breakaway. In the background, a group with Delgado, Bugno and Sørensen is trying to close the gap, but the four leaders are working well together and are far out of reach. In the last kilometer, Greg is preparing a sprint. This could be his first victory in a classic after second and other top 10 places. Chiappucci launches a sprint, LeMoment jumps in his wheel while Motet is in third. Greg attacks and is going left, but gets a little bit hampered by Chiappucci. Motet seems to be beaten but is going right. The American and Frenchman are sprinting for victory, but Motet is just a fraction faster than Greg and wins the race. Another second place for Greg, who's disappointed but seems to be in perfect condition for the Worlds. Chiappucci is complaining Greg's sprint, and the top two riders of the tour are having a small discussion on the podium. Fortunately with a smile. It seems the hostility between them that started in the Tour de France is finally over.
Every time I see this sprint again, I'm hoping that Greg wins it. Who doesn't? But it's like 1990 when he lost from Bunyo on Alpe d'Huez. But unfortunately, each time I'm looking at the same result. Okay guys, something else now. Remember Edwin's beautiful work in the first episode? Today another forum member is showing us his LeMoment thing. Lee West is an Englishman who's living in Belgium and started building his own frame 6 years ago. Now he has a beautiful collection of bikes, and I'm sure a lot of us will be jealous when watching this video. Here's Lee.
Hi everybody, Lee here. So Thierry was kind enough to ask me if I'd like to show off my LeMoment related bike collection, so hope you enjoy it. So I started collecting retro bikes in 2006, starting with a Cinelli Super Corsa, building it up with full Campagnolo C-Record Delta, and then I was pretty much hooked. Scanning the web, the markets, is really the fun part for me. Not all of my bikes are exactly to spec as Greg used, but I like to use different component groups to mix it up, like the chorus on the Concorde. Also trying to find the jerseys, the caps, the water bottles is a lot of fun and a big challenge. So my LeMoment related bikes range from 1987 with the Look KG86, the Concorde Squadra from 1988, the Petechia from 1989 and the TBT from 1990. The newbie of the bunch is the LeMoment Limited 90, which is number 11 of only 100 ever made. So here they all are with their relevant jerseys and caps. Those of you with a keen eye will notice the Petechia was waiting with the final piece, a headset, which I now have. So, here's where all the tinkering happens. You may wonder why I have such large toolboxes. Well, I make my own frames out of steel and stainless steel, so you need a lot of gear to do that. I managed to meet and ride with Greg in San Francisco a few years ago. It was a great experience, and what a nice guy. Time to speak to everyone. I got a few autographs as well. The low profile I'll make up in time to match the road bike, probably with chorus group. And here is a Peugeot PY10 FC that Robert Miller used. I'm waiting for some parts to come. So here we go with the TBT build. It's always a good idea to prep the frame by cleaning out the threads, etc. I found this frame last year on Fleabay with a disbonded chainstay. I knew I could repair it, so I bagged myself a great bargain. I took the components off another TBT, so it was an easy build. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed this little snip of my collection, and thanks to Thierry for the invite.
Now that's an amazing collection, Lee, and thanks for sharing this with us. If you want to share your story, don't hesitate, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Just send us your mail with a few words about your thing with LeMoment, and maybe you'll be in the next show. So come on guys, send them to us. Back to 1989, remember the 30 years ago? Last time we saw Greg signing his contract with ADR and Coors Light. Today we go through the first races of the season, exactly 30 years ago.
It's February and the season is kicking off in the Tour of the Americas. a stage race in Venezuela and Florida. At the end, the GC is determined with points. Greg is having a good start of the season with a third place overall after Dams and Elliott. After his visit to the US, Greg heads up to Europe where the Omloop het Volk is the opening race in Belgium. Bad weather, cobblestones and a 17th place for LeMoment, who seems to be in good shape. A few days later he travels to Italy to race in the Tirreno Adriatico. Greg is always in front of the peloton, sprints for bonifications and reaches 8th place in the opening prologue. 6th place in the GC at 1 minute 40 from Tony Rominger is a good result for a motivated LeMoment. The next weekend the peloton is heading to San Remo in the Primavera. It's cold and raining during the first hours. Greg doesn't finish the race, but it's Laurent Fignon winning the opening World Cup Classic on the Via Roma. The next week LeMoment is racing in the Critérium International in France. Only 2 days short, 3 stages and a time trial on the program. It's the first time we see LeMoment in a breakaway. Together with Indurain, Fignon, Motet and Roche, he's one of the main actors of the first stage, finishing second in the sprint. The time trial on the next day results in a 4th place overall. Back in Belgium, the 3 days of the Panna and the Tour of Flanders are no big success. LeMoment finishes 63rd on the rainy hills of Flanders. But things begin to change. Greg isn't paid since the start of the season and his motivation is dropping. His savings are invested in his bike company and psychologically it's hard to continue like this. After abandoning in Gent-Wevelgem, Paris-Roubaix and the Flèche Wallonne, Greg decides to return to the US and stop riding for ADR.
This doesn't look good for Greg, who seems to be racing well in the beginning of the season, but he hasn't got paid yet. Next time we'll see how the story continues. Okay guys, time for fun stuff. Now, I'm not sure if everybody liked maths at school. I didn't. But this calculation is pretty cool and it's all about number 8. As we know, LeMoment started 8 times in the Tour de France. It was in 1984, 85, 86, 89, 1990, 1991, 92 and 94. Now, if we take the sum of all those years, the result is 15,911. Now, splitting up this number and counting all numbers together, we get 17. Now, let's do the same thing with 1 and 7, and what do we get? We get 8. Now, there's more. Making the sum of all the digits in the years, we get 179. So we're going to split them up, and we say 1 plus 7 plus 9 is 17, and again 1 plus 7 is 8. I hear you thinking, so pretty boring, what's next? Well, here's the race numbers of Greg during the Tour de France. And if we make the sum of all these race numbers, what will be the result? Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Okay, 314. So 3 plus 1 plus 4 is 8. Okay, now maybe it works too by splitting them up again. And here we go. So we get all the numbers, we split all the digits up and we make the sum. And what do we get? We get 44. 4 plus 4 is 8. Well, it looks like number 8 is the magic number for Greg. So, but I think there was something else with number 8 and I can't remember it. I think it was somewhere in 1989, but again, 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9 is 27 and 2 plus 7 is 9. No, that's not it. I can't remember. Maybe I'll remember it in a few seconds, but anyway, what's the difference in a few seconds, right? Okay. Now, remember my last call for the first episode of Greg LeMoment Fans Television. We started the challenge, and what was the goal again? Well, I asked you guys to post a remake of this picture of Greg LeMoment on the Champs-Élysées after the last time trial. And it took a while before you guys sent the first attempts, first results to the forum. But when the first was posted, then the others came automatically. And let's have a look at some of these challenges, and they're pretty nice. Now I thought I was crazy, but I'm happy I'm not the only one. Thanks for sending them in, guys, you rock. So the next challenge is maybe less demanding for some of us. I understand you were shy, or you thought, well, it's the first time and I really needed an ADR jersey, or I needed to visit Paris, which was not true. So the next challenge will be much easier, I hope. I want you to post the most valuable thing you have of Greg LeMoment at home. Even if it's just a piece of paper, or a postcard, an autograph, or a genuine jersey, just put it on the forum using the hashtag GLF challenge and tell us why you love it so much. So please spam our forum and post them all. I'm counting on you. Okay guys, we're at the end of the show. Stay tuned for the next episode here on GLF TV. Thanks for watching and see you next time.